Okay, so I guess I'm live. Hey there, everybody. This is Chloethedev here. Pretty tired, but it's going to be a great day. So much has happened. I'm not even really sure how best to talk about it, but I'll start from where I left off last time. I left off last time talking about my research with HashCloak on validator privacy, mixed nets, DC nets, and all that. And I basically wanted to start going live every Sunday around midnight my time. So I'm in Canada, in Ontario. So I was going to go live around midnight every Sunday because I have weekly check-ins with my boss, Makira from HashCloak, Monday mornings at 9:30. So my plan, my goal was to kind of go through my research online, talk through it, organize it in my mind, and be able to speak through my research. And that would hopefully help me be better or more efficient in my stand-up with Makira. And so that was kind of my intention to kind of, iterate through presenting my research and then talking it through with my boss. But within a couple days, so I live in Windsor, Ontario. It's near Detroit. We went to go pick up a new puppy. We actually rescued this puppy from Antigua when we were there running the Marma J Foundation, my partner and I. And we ended up driving to Ottawa, which is about maybe 6-8 hours away from Windsor to pick up this puppy. Obviously, I didn't mind. This puppy we were there in Antigua for about 2-3 months before this puppy arrived at Fort James Beach. She was about 2-3 months old, super playful, super kind. But about a week and a half into us taking care of her, but we were taking care of a big pack of dogs there for about 3 months, she got hit by a car. And all I remember was I was screaming. I ran after her in the bushes, barefoot in Antigua. I can't remember how long. And even then I couldn't catch her. But at that point, I realized that, she was a bit too young to be on the beach if she was going to survive. And a lot of the dogs don't survive there on the beach. It's sad, but people just drop dogs there, and we did our best to feed them and clean up the beach and clean up the roads and do what we could to help. But for this one particular puppy, her name was Mika. We name all of our dogs from Attack on Titan characters. So we have like Eren, Mika, or Mikasa, I don't know, like all of them, all the characters, Armin, Ymir, Krista. So yeah, we had a little Mika, and we actually couldn't have pets in our apartment. A lot of stuff was supposed to happen with the Marma J Foundation. We had a lot of money saved up. We didn't even raise any money. I basically just worked for a few years, saved up all this money, and I was like, yeah, it's time to go to Antigua and start sustainable businesses and sustainable ways to basically give this money away and educate and teach. And that was the goal. But once the day we got to Antigua, I realized that what I thought was happening when we got there wasn't there. And we could have just left right then and right there. But I kind of decided that, this is important. Helping people is important. And I'm blessed with the life that I have. I mean, even if I lose I did end up losing all my money and going into debt trying to run the Marma J Foundation from Antigua right away. We didn't really have any partners. We didn't really have any support systems. But at that point in time, I wasn't ready to take on support. But I didn't want to take on support. I didn't feel comfortable asking people for money and without having a way to really showcase what we're doing with it. And even now, I don't really want people's money. But with Gitcoin grants, I've realized that there could be a way to show what we're doing and then just be like, hey, if this vibes with you, if you resonate with this, you can give us $1 or $2, and it can actually end up being $10, $20 because of quadratic funding. But with this puppy, we got her fostered by a nice young lady, a nice family in Antigua. A few months there. She was created a lot, though, but she was safe and fed and loved. And she got sent to Ottawa with Ottawa Dog Rescue. And that was awesome. That was amazing for us because we were happy that she was somewhere safe. Almost all the dogs that we had on the beach, about 13 of them, almost all of them got sent to, Canada or the States or to a family somewhere. One of them, a couple of them passed while we were there. One passed in childbirth, and another one a few other disappeared. But we did our best to try and, make them know that they had a safe place, even if that safe place was at the beach. And only when we were there, we tried to feed them and try and get as much coordination as possible. As we were leaving, though, and through helping some of these specific dogs that needed more help, we actually did make some connections down there. And we do now have some support in many different facets, but with the Mama J Foundation. So I guess I've realized that it's time to relaunch. It's time to relaunch the Mama J Foundation. Having Mika around helps remind me of these things, reminds me that in Antigua, I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing. I had no money, no job. And I mean, I had internet connection, and because the apartment that we rented had free internet connection. So the computer I have right now, I actually started running, I'll talk about it later, but I'm running like a Golem node, F2 node, F1 node, I'm trying to run a Wahoo node, a bunch of other nodes on my old PC. But I actually bought this PC to stake, what's that old token called? Odin? No, they changed it. There was an old token called ODN. And I bought the computer to stake that because my dad had a lot of tokens and was going to stake it. It was an anonymous communication network, I think. Anyways, that token failed, so the computer was useless, and so it was an old staking computer. And it's funny because I'm still using it for staking. So I bought a new hard drive, 1 terabyte extra hard drive to plug in. It's actually internal. It had a little spinny disk hard drive. I call them little spinnies before. So now it's like an SSD, which is obviously a lot better. I put an Ubuntu server on it. So if you want to see my Ubuntu server, this is her. I'll try and go through my different. So this is my Golem node. Oops. This is my F2 node. I have 0 peers right now. I think that because I'm trying to run all these nodes at the same time, I'm having issues trying to get peers, trying to connect to the network, but I'll fix it. And then this is my F node, F1. Again, I guess technically it's my Geth node. Go Ethereum. It's written in Go. Doesn't really matter what it's written in. I don't need to know how to write. Well, I mean, I personally care that it's a Geth node because status, it's a messenger. It doesn't really matter. But status is basically used as a Geth node. If you know what status is, you know what Geth is. They take a Geth node and basically like, wrapped it with some stuff to make it more lightweight and better for like mobile devices and low power devices and low connectivity. It's like low power devices, low bandwidth devices. And so in that, I should be able to run. Well, you could run NIM nodes as well. So status can be used on NIM nodes, and status can be used with Go nodes. So I guess I run a NIM F2 node, and I run a Go F1 node. So it'd be really cool to run a status node and have it connect to Go. And then as NIM starts doing more, have just the same F status node connect to NIM. And then through that, the way they do the like PubSub, they use Wahoo. So I used to use Whisper, was used before in a lot of Ethereum messaging protocols, but it like never really got fleshed out and implemented. And like layered application layer messaging protocols got used for Ethereum instead. And so the VAC team, research team, decided to take Whisper and make Wahoo. Basically finish Whisper and make it like more robust and better implementation. See if it would work. And it seems like it's working so far. I mean, I've only dug into this a little bit. But now that we're looking at Wahoo version 2 and how it works for Discover 5 and ETH 2.0 and what's coming and not even ETH 2.0, but even ETH 1, like how do you get more than like 10,000 nodes on the network at once? You need different types of nodes and all that stuff. So long story short, basically my point was we got Mika. That was last weekend. It was my friend's birthday party. We were in Huntsville as well. So I didn't get to go live last weekend, but a lot's been going on with work and we've got a dog and we've been trying to partner with Aziza Lake, senator in Antigua, who's charged with, I guess, educating herself on blockchain and new tech, but also then educating her constituents. So I've been trying to get her to, I guess, be open to what Ethereum is, and because she has no clue what Ethereum is, no clue who Vitalik is, no clue what status is. So it's good for me to remember that there's people like that exist. I mean, I am so ingrained in the community these days that to not know what Ethereum is or what Bitcoin is to me is so removed from where I am. But it's good to remember that a lot of people don't know what Ethereum is or Bitcoin is or crypto is, or they have no clue and they don't care. They don't care at all what all this stuff is. And so how do you get 1 million people to run nodes if they don't care what Ethereum is? And I think that one of the only incentive mechanisms for people is something for themselves. So messaging, for example. So with status, it's a messenger, it's an encrypted messenger. So I feel like it gives me a use case for Ethereum, regardless of having any tokens or any money. I can be broke as crap. And actually having a status account could get me money, because then I can connect to other Ethereum members who have money. And they could reach out. I could reach out to them in a public group. Maybe have a group for looking for jobs. So if I had a group catered to Antiguan artists or crypto artists who have no money and no crypto, and they have nothing, but all they have is internet connectivity, and I say, here, go to this status public group, and I will have other people who are looking for people that will work for crypto globally, and you just connect people, and then by just telling people where to go and giving them, it's like, oh, you know where to learn? Go to a library. Where's the library? It's over there. How to get in? Here's a library card. It's not as easy as going to a library and learning stuff. You need to know how to get to the library. You need to know how to check out a book. You need to know how to connect to log into a computer at the library and learn the code. And there's lots of steps along the way, even if it's possible to do. People don't know why they're doing it or what uses for them. You need to educate them and teach them. So if I tell someone in Antigua, hey, you can make $100 a week being an artist online if you just sell your art on blockchain. It doesn't really matter what blockchain. I don't care what. I'm not blockchain like, whoa, we have to use Ethereum. I don't care, as long as it's they know why they're using the blockchain they're using and what it's going to give them. And if they feel like, hey, I'm going to use Bitcoin for my blockchain art, because most people in Antigua, they only know about Bitcoin, and so they have Bitcoin accounts, they can transact that. Then I would say, okay, what if someone doesn't have a Bitcoin account? What if it's too expensive to transact? Maybe you should put your art on multiple platforms. So they have some platforms where you can just upload your art to one thing and it goes on multiple chains. But the cost of that is cost prohibitive. So how do you get someone with no money to mint on multiple chains? So one of my ideas now is, okay, well, how do you forget other chains for a second, because I really don't think other chains are necessary yet. I think that we'll get there eventually, probably, but not right now. So when you get down to it, like when I'm building for my partner, Bianca, and if you want to build it, take my idea and build it, that'd be great. They already exist, but not on a public scale. So I think of a mint-based factory contract where instead of you going to mintbase.io, paying your $30, $40, $100 in gas to mint your own store and your own token, basically just fork it to where it creates, instead of 721 tokens, I think it's like ERC 1251 or 1250 or some standard of ERC, where it's still an NFT token, but there's no actual token created until someone comes up and buys it. So basically what you'd say is, okay, you've created a token, but this token doesn't really exist yet. You're just creating it as a hash. And it's a verified hash of creation of this artwork. And so you'd have the data for the art on IPFS or some other kind of blockchain. So you can read the data like, hey, this is what the art will look like. And if you click mint, you will pay the gas to make art that looks like that. One of one, super rare. I hate that term super rare has been taken by the company. But I think it's a great idea. Making something that's super rare, making something that's verifiably rare, I guess is the better way of saying it. It's verifiably rare. Because if that data changes a tiny bit, if someone goes, okay, you know what, I'm going to take your picture and I'm going to add a few pixels here. Data's different now. And so technically that data is no longer the same. And so, yes, that other picture could be rare, but it's different. And so part of the beauty is that all you really have to do is connect the minter to that art. So like the person who created it. So whoever uploads the art to IPFS, you're going to have to sign the transaction with a hash, but not pay any gas. And so basically me as a relayer would take your data, IPFS, and take your signing hash and connect those two. And hey, this address verifiably signed that they were the creator of this art on this day, on this time. And I would have that data. And then say a year from now, someone goes, oh, that art's really cool. I'm going to mint that. They can only mint it once, because in the smart contract, it only allow one minting of each piece of art. Or I got one minting. I got her more, but I'll let frequent fork it whatever they want. But for me, it's one minting to keep things verifiably rare. And then when that purchaser looked back on the art, they would see, when they minted it, when they actually paid the gas to mint the art on chain, but they would also see when was it verified, when was the art actually uploaded to IPFS, and all that. So you'd see oh wow, this artist made this 10 years ago, and upload it to IPFS, but I'm buying it 10 years later. So you can actually see the value of their art over time, see it accruing value, and then you could actually pay for that art later on. With that, I think there's kind of cool ways of gamifying things, like, whatever the gas price is, the purchaser pays double the gas, and then that double the gas just goes towards the charity. So you have a purchase price that the artist would put up, the gas price of minting, and then we could just double the gas price of minting for each piece of art, and that would go straight to charity. Because there is still a cost to a lot of these things, and I do want most things to be optional. So, for example, if I want to be optional, hey, gas was $12 to mint this. Would you like to double that? And it can be a sliding scale. Would you have to pay double the gas, 1.5x the gas, 0.5x the gas, and send it to charity? And the idea is that that money should just be used to do more on-chain stuff. So a lot of what we're doing for the Marvin J Foundation is off-chain. And I think that I want to do it on purpose because, as I said, so many people don't know about what's going on in terms of Gitcoin grants. Let's use Gitcoin grants as a very basic example. Gitcoin grants Gitcoin is a website that's focusing on open source technology and focusing, it seems, on making it sustainable for someone in a random country somewhere who knows how to code to go on their computers and go online and make money coding. Because there's so much open source jobs available, so much open source tech available, so many different companies available that it is sustainable and reasonable. And so I think they're there. I think they're about like 65, 70% profitable at this point. So they're on their way. But anything I can do to support that initiative is I'm all games, or I'm all about. So, with Web3 Bridge, where I'm going to be mentoring and all that, a lot of the partnership will be, getting little hackathon groups in Africa, groups 3 or 4. In my opinion, we're also going to be trying to get them solar panels, where we already bought like one student a computer because they couldn't really immediately have a good computer. I'm thinking Raspberry Pis probably make more sense because then they can learn CLI. And I know these people are web devs, so it's probably a little bit difficult to get them, having, using CLI and trying to do web dev. But a lot of web development can be done, especially with blockchain web development. A lot of it can be done through CLI first, a lot of the back end, middle end stuff. And then all you're really doing is uploading it to, GitHub, and then porting over a front end that you work on for, I don't like front ends that much. So when I work on a project, it's like I'm in CLI for like weeks, and then I might touch the front end for like an hour or two just to like use Bootstrap and just like download some random stuff and just have a button that connects to Ethereum. I don't really care. And also a lot of the testing is done on the back end. A lot of testing is done on Remix, which is like, why would I even use Remix? I can see and I know it's sort of like new stuff for a lot of people using CLI. But I learned, the first time I ever learned blockchain development was from CLI, Eat the Blocks on YouTube. If you watch this and you get to this point in my video and you've listened to me ramble for 18 minutes, okay, just eat the blocks. Eat the blocks. Julian on YouTube is the instructor. Just stop this video, because I am not talking about anything useful, and go to Eat the Blocks and watch, just save the link, watch it later. And you can come back here if you want and like finish listening to me if you watch this later or whatever. But like, I'm just using this as the time to rant. Not rant, but like, I feel as though, this is on Twitter, but like, no one needs to listen to this. I do this for posterity. I do this to remember what happened. I do this as a log. I do this because I know that the Google API records all my speech patterns and all my voice and all that. So I think that it would be cool one day to be able to go back through all this content, get all my face recognition to create. Like, there's already a project using World War II vets who are still alive, or no, people who survived the Holocaust, and using about 2,000 camera angles to have every single question asked to them they can conceive or think of. And then that way you can put that into a museum or put that anywhere eventually, and you can go to any website. Think about the metaverse, cryptovoxels, and being able to go to a Holocaust museum and have real people show up with their real voices and their real attitudes and their real mannerisms and speak to you about the Holocaust. That'd be super cool. So even this stuff, if I could, take my mannerisms, take my face over years and create some sort of system, and this will sound kind of weird, but like, I don't get to see my son, for example. I haven't seen my son since New Year's. It's kind of personal, I guess, but a lot of reasons, I guess. But he lives in Pennsylvania. He turned 4 in August. COVID. My ex doesn't really like me that much. She got remarried, so I'm happy for her. I'm happy for my ex, my son, and all that kind of stuff. My ex is a social media influencer. When we were together, I helped her, and we together started a social media marketing company. I did more of the back end stuff. She did more of the front end stuff. I was the photographer. She was the model. And I don't know, through that, I'm blessed because I'm able to see my son a lot. I can see him in blog posts. I can see him on Instagram. And while that makes my life a little bit harder sometimes, like when I was an admin for the cost for cryptocurrency one-stop solution exchange in Singapore, released in 2017 August, I think ICO happened. I did their ICO. I did right after ICO. I got in around like 10 cents. It went to like $3. It was amazing. Went way down again, back to 3 cents or less now. Horrible investment, I guess. It was very fun though. I learned so much. But part of that, as an admin of 5,000 people in that chat, it was like the 6th most active Discord, Telegram chat at one point in time. There was racist sticker packs made about me and my son, actually. The stickers had to do with the fact like I was dark and my son was so white. I don't know, it wasn't that big of a deal to me, but it goes to show like being public being public facing is not as easy as it seems, especially not in the cryptocurrency world. Like I just came out on Twitter, and I just started like to be myself, and it's not as easy as it seems. And I came out on Twitter after being bullied for 3 years 2 years as the leader of a group. This is a big French community that really didn't like me for many reasons, which is fine. I always do my best to just love whoever comes to me, regardless of how they treat me. So it was really good training for me to have like hundreds of people just like being racist and hate. They made whole groups where they can keep using these stickers and keep talking about how much they hated me, which is fine. At the end of the day, I learned how to be patient and love those that dislike me. And I hope that they also learn how to create communities and organize around a central idea. But the idea is I'm no longer able to call my son for whatever reason, so I cannot video chat with him either. I guess the main reason is that he doesn't want to, and the parenting style that my ex has chosen to lead with is one in which he makes the decisions about who he speaks to, which is fair. I mean, he's his own individual, and if he says he doesn't want to talk to me, he doesn't have to talk to me. I would appreciate. My ex doesn't like when I talk about this stuff, I think, so I guess I'm gonna stop now. I completely forgot. I guess I call this Chloethedev Unfiltered because I feel like it's important to be, for me, to be as open, honest, and upfront with everyone as possible. I think that in this world, we are increasingly moving towards a time where verifying humans' authenticity is very difficult. Verifying anything is very difficult. And so I think the blockchain has more and more importance every day in that sense. Like, how do you know how much money is in your bank account? How do you know? You don't. You know what the government, you know what the bank tells you is in your bank account. You don't know what's in your bank account. You don't know how much money is actually there. With blockchain, I know instantly how much money is in my account. So realizing that it's a change of mentality. It's a change of, I know that I can verify things. I was talking to someone the other day when I was telling them, yeah, like you can verifiably use technology and like keep things secure, and it's possible. It's harder to do. And like, I don't believe you. I don't believe it's possible. Like Google knows what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to use Google. Like, you don't. It's harder, but you don't have to. And like, it's funny. People don't know. They just have no clue. And so, I think a lot of the movement behind anonymous communication has been like, oh my gosh, how do we make it possible? How do we hide from the all-seeing global attacker? But I think it's a wrong mentality to think like, how do we hide from the global attacker? Because most people don't want to hide from a global attacker. They just want to hide from like, not even hide from anyone. They just want to know what is in their account, and they don't want the average person to be able to see what's in their account. Like, I don't want all my friends seeing how much money I have. Even on Ethereum, I think it's kind of weird that like you right now can check out how much money the Marvin J Foundation has, how much money I have, and like there's also ways to make it private. You don't have to have all of it public, but I think it's also kind of cool. So it's a different value proposition for many people to explain to them, hey, you can verify a few things. You can verify that what's public is public, and you can also verify that what's private is private. And verify, again, and I got in a debate about semantics with this person. Not a debate, because I don't debate things that don't make sense. Semantics doesn't make sense to me, because he was like, oh, well, you're saying it's impossible, or it's possible. And I'm like, obviously, if I say something's possible, I mean 99% possible, or close enough, to that bound. And then if I say something's impossible, I'm saying 99% impossible to that bound. I'm not actually saying it's 100% impossible, 100% possible, because there's no such thing as 100% anything. So when I'm saying that you can verifiably secure that your communication is anonymous, it's not anonymous. No communication is anonymous, truly, I suppose, because well, this is what me and my brother were talking about. Because with low latency networks, it's been proven that you cannot have anonymity, because I guess tech isn't good enough, I guess. And like, you could do it if you required everyone in the network to have like super powerful nodes, but then like, if an attacker had, but the idea is if an attacker had enough computing power, they could always figure out the communication. But you're just saying, with what we know today and the technology that we have available to us today, what's the probability of being attacked? What's the probability of someone finding out that I sent you a message? Okay, if that probability is like the US government using all of their resources has like would take them a whole week to find out who I am, okay, that seems reasonable. I can do that. That's reasonable. Now, what if I can change my pseudonym, like my alias, within that? So then there's ideas like, well, if a global attacker could find you in a week, that's not horrible. But then it'd be better if you could figure out someone was trying to figure out who you were within a couple of days. Because then I can get an alert saying, hey, someone's trying to figure out who you are. And I'd be like, oh, shoot, the strongest attacker should take about a week to figure that out. So if I change my name instantly, then takes a whole new week. So even if the government kept figuring out where I was in the network and kept trying to figure out new things about me, it would take them a week each time. And then there's other ideas where like, okay, well, if they kept figuring out who you were and knew that you kept doing this, it would be less time over time. So they'd know, okay, your address, and then you change your name, and they'd be like, okay, maybe this is the same person, and they know your height, and then they'll be like, okay, we maybe know the address, we maybe know the height. Let's start with those two ideas, and they would over time, I guess, like a Bayesian probability. The idea is your probability as an attacker or as a defender or as an individual can change over time if you use multiple different facets of probability. And as a researcher, I don't really care about. It's so funny. I like math. I don't care about math. I think math all the times is very inefficient. The only math I really care about is proofs, because with a proof, you just prove something. I mean, I know that probabilities are good. And if you're trying to explain to someone, hey, I want you to spend $10 billion on this new system, they're like, hey, well, the old system was pretty good. And you go, oh, well, probability dictates that, the old system was costing you $15 billion a year, and this only costs you $10 billion a year. And probability you have more, probability-wise, you have more security. Then you could explain to someone why you're worth $1 billion. But that's, I get it, marketing, I understand. But I don't care. I can't verify. I can't verify the fact that, and I guess also with probability, you could have proofs to verify probabilities, and like, I'm a very beginner in all this stuff. So I'm sure over time, as I enjoy it more, I might like it more. But I think that I can actually verify. I like things that I can, for now, I think blockchain's biggest use case is things that we can verify right now. And then taking that and then creating systems on top of that are secure. So, right now, if I had a piece of art on Ethereum, I could verify the art was in my wallet and that I had access to it at any point in time, that I was the owner of that art and that I got it on a certain day. And in my opinion, that provides some sort of value that I don't need much else. Like as a gallery, for example, if I do own a gallery in the metaverse, and if I'm buying really expensive art, I want to know who the artist is and verify that. I want to be able to verify all past purchase prices and sell prices. So I know, I can put a chart of how this art's been doing over time beside the art. And I'd want to know, I guess that's about it. Like maybe that I can sell it again, that I own it, that I can sell it. And I feel like there's not many chains you get that on, because that last part, knowing that you own something and knowing you can sell it to someone else, is not really something that's easy to verify. Like, how do you verify Ethereum is going to keep running after if everyone else stops running it. The only way to know that is to run your own node. And this is where proof of work, in my opinion, becomes a viable option for things, or it was a viable option for things. Right now, I'm running an F node, and even like if everyone just stopped mining Ethereum and stopped using Ethereum, I could still run a node and mine Ethereum and just keep serving up data for myself and my friends, and it would still work. So I get attacked for sure, and like it would make no sense to do, and like, but technically, if you had enough. Like if you were able to switch to a, you can fork it over to proof of stake network, own all the tokens, stake it yourself. And that's where I think the security issue comes from. So with Bitcoin, if a bunch of big miners decided that it wasn't worth it anymore, or like they didn't want to mine anymore, yes, people could use cloud storage to mine. But like, I think you see really big issues. Well, you can't use cloud storage to mine. Not really. You need to like actually like hash out all these problems. It wouldn't be energy efficient probably. I don't know. I see a larger issue than people think with proof of work networks. I do believe that if you saw a huge fragmentation of the world, like, I mean COVID type stuff, but way worse. I mean, with COVID, we saw how the whole world was on lockdown, but that was locking us in our houses. Right. So what if there was a disease where you couldn't go to work, or like you couldn't go check on your nodes, or you couldn't COVID wasn't even that bad. So, I mean, natural disasters are disasters. That's the whole point. So COVID can be considered a natural disaster, whether you want to call it natural, man-made. I don't care where it came from. It's still a disaster. And nature was used to spread it. Like human beings, spread it from person to person, on planes, boats, whatever, we spread it. So, we're relying on the world to hold these nodes within, right? Regardless of where you hold these nodes, they're held in the world. And natural disasters happen in the world. So, I mean, let's say a flood wipes out half of where all the cheapest electricity is, let's say, and where all the miners are. That's all the Bitcoin miners are, because cheap electricity is there, energy arbitrage, whatever. So what happens? Like, people say, oh yeah, well, other miners will come online. Where? If these miners are destroyed, if 50% of Bitcoin miners are destroyed, there is no way that the hash power is coming back up quickly. It's not happening. You need to remake those miners. You need to plug more computers in. They won't be the same quality of miners. And the higher quality miners get, the harder it's going to be to remake those and get the hash power back. I think the higher the hash power goes, the easier it is for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything to be hacked with one natural disaster. And if a Bitcoin maxi wants to prove me wrong, please do. But in my opinion, it's all about hash power. So if over half of the miners were destroyed on all the cheap electricity places, and all the other miners were being mined in very expensive electricity places that were there, and with only one miner left who just happened to have a really good warehouse that survived the flood, and that was really rich person, so they had a huge amount of miners with cheap electricity. They would be the only miner in the entire country able to get that cheap electricity. Let's just say that in their part of the country that the flood didn't hit, whatever. And they would be able to energy arbitrage more than the rest of the world. And within a very short time frame, with that much economic activity coming into them, would be able to start investing into really high-powered miners, invest in more property. And it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't seem to provide for a safe network. In my opinion, proof of stake, while not fully fleshed out yet, just makes more sense as something you try and accomplish. Do you try and accomplish something where someone can run it on their phone, so it's on it with them all the time? Something where even if they lose the connectivity for a few days, a few weeks, they don't really get all they lose is profits, not actually what they hope. They don't actually lose their stake. And so yeah, a lot of what I want to focus on now is how do we get a useful node on someone's phone. That's like the start, because we already said most people don't care. They don't care about privacy. They don't care about anonymity. They don't care about Ethereum. They don't care about crypto. They don't care about any of it. So how do you get that person who doesn't care about any of it to download a node that's taking up resources to their phone. And in my opinion, you do that by showing them the value of being connected. And so personally, I see the value of being connected because I'm able to get into Web3 and join all these dApps. But I was doing that in 2017 when the only dApps you had were like, not even MakerDAO. I can't remember what dApps we had. We had Etherscan. We had what's that DEX? What's with an E? EtherDelta. EtherDelta was the only DEX we had, and the only way to use it was with like a Ledger or MetaMask back then. And so I remember my dad did the EtherDelta ICO and got scammed out of like 20 ETH or something like that. Like my dad has lost so much ETH. So sad. But anyway, I've lost a lot of ETH too in ICOs, and like I lost one ETH in a scam ICO that I thought was going to be good. It was like a gaming ICO. It was really stupid. I got like full out scammed. Really good website though. And then I invested in some projects that I just thought were really good ideas, and they didn't pan out because dev teams fell apart or whatever. But now I realize that I'm not really an investor. I always thought I was. I always thought I was an investor or a CEO type person or a leader. I realize that I don't think I am. I think that I'm a person that likes to get things done. I call it a hacker, I guess. And I think in the Ethereum community and in the crypto community, or in the technology community, hacking has become less of a, oh, you're a hacker, and more into, hacking just means putting things together to get the job done. And so like a plumber can be a hacker. A mechanic can be a hacker. If you're able to take what you have, and which might not be what's normally used for a job, and get a job done. So, my car, like when I was 18, I got my first car, Jeep Grand Cherokee 96. It had literal holes in it. It had duct tape holding the carburetor together. But it was a hack. When something broke, I literally took a screwdriver, took apart the car, and figured out how to get it fixed, to get it running. Because I just had to get from point A to point B. I didn't need a car that could go do all these things. I just need to get from point A to point B. So what I'm realizing is I have just grown up that way. I've never really had formal tutelage in anything like tech, blockchain, crypto. It's all been just me, self-taught for the most part. I did go to the University of Windsor for like 2 months. I learned a lot, actually. As an 18-year-old, I think finding a university program where you're learning what you love to learn is very smart. They make it very easy to learn, and so you can kind of screw around, party, drink, go out, and still learn. I would just say that if a formal education program doesn't have some sort of like licensure where you need it to work afterwards, and you are self-driven, where you feel like you would work faster than the curriculum or the syllabus. So what I would suggest to people, like I always, like when I was a student, I didn't know whether I should drop out or what I should do or what was going on. And I think the first thing is like, is the program like is it do you need medical med school? Do you need to get into law school? Do you need something else like that? Because for law school, for example, you could take any degree. Like my cousin went to university for English and then went to law school and now he's a lawyer. So like no one cares what you do for your undergrad if you're going to master's anyway. So that's kind of thoughts to take into for certain things. So for computer science, you need certain math classes. So check that out as well. But a lot of times you can do independent degrees. So for your undergrad, you can go to a university, speak to their advisors about what you want to do for your master's, and then just make sure you take all the prerequisites for that. But in your undergrad, take whatever you want. So you can take like poetry classes. And so in the States, you can take whatever classes you want kind of anyways, and you go with a degree completion plan, and you kind of, it's very modular in the States for many degrees, where I say that because in Canada and England and other countries I've been to, it's not modular at all. You basically get into a program, you stick with it, and if you drop out halfway through, you have to go through a new program from the start. Canada's getting better at that now. I guess with so many transfer students from the States and all over, a lot of schools are getting better at that individually. But when I was in England, it was basically 3-year programs. Your first year was learning. Your first year was like very much like soft. Your last 2 years were very much intensive, getting all your work done. But I would just suggest, if you are a self-motivated person who doesn't really have the extra income to afford a formalized education, and I would just suggest trying to find communities online with people who already have that degree. So for me, computer science, particularly, I am motivated specifically for Ethereum development, so there are people who have their master's degrees and doctorate degrees in computer science who are also interested in computer science. I mean, so we're also in the Ethereum community and blockchain community and cryptography. So those online communities are usually quite open, and they're usually willing to teach people, newcomers, and teach young people. So if you're like 18, 19, and you're kind of interested in whatever, psychology, there are people who have doctorates in psychology who are online, who have little Twitter groups and chats and talks, and they share the research. And so if that's something that interests you, you could have an independent degree as your undergrad, or you could do psychology as your undergrad, or you could just do no undergrad. But if you just talk to those people and be like, hey, what's useful in this degree? What should I be learning? What are some of the most useful topics of interest in research? They'll be like, yeah, like these are the things I'm researching. They want to talk about it. Like me, I'm a researcher. If someone come to me and said, hey, what are the topics that you think are important to start researching on my free time? I would tell somebody. And then if you talk to a bunch of people, you get kind of a list of topics that, come up more often. You can start catering your education to that. So I know a lot of people in the computer science realm are self-taught. And a lot of that is because a lot of the information is open source. So anyone, you're 14, 13, 16, can go online, start Googling what they're interested in, and just find research papers, find code they could run on their computers. And what I like about it is that it's the iteration, it's the peer review. It's the peer review is happening quicker. So it's the idea that a 15-year-old can go online, read 10 papers, summarize them, and then release their own work, their notes. And then the entire community can see the work, read it, and put notes on it and say, I think this is pretty good notes, pretty good summary, or I think you missed these pretty important topics in your summaries. And that kid can learn for free. Why would you need to go in front of a PhD panel to show your work? In my opinion, the need was because there was no other way to get your work in front of a panel. And people want to be judged. People want to learn. Like, I want my work to be judged by people that I trust. But in my opinion, the only way to do that was to go to school. Like, I didn't know how else to get a bunch of really smart people to look at my stuff, to talk to me, to even give me time of day. But I'm realizing with open source technology and tech and crypto, I can just code something and release it. Like, I can just, and even further with blockchain, I think the reason that I'm really going to get more into like coding and really more into that kind of stuff is because when I code something onto Ethereum, anybody can then take that code and copy it without needing me for anything. And so I do like research, and I want to make sure that I include a lot of research notes in my code. And I want to stick to like Solidity and Viper. I wouldn't say area of expertise, but my area of passion is definitely because when you write a smart contract, it's on blockchain forever. You can't really, there's proxy. I don't agree with. Okay. So when you write a smart contract, it is supposed to stay on the blockchain forever, immutable, and not change. I understand that there's a need for things to change when you release a product for a lot of people. And I agree that with capitalism, you need funding and you need to be safe. I don't agree. I think that if I'm going to make something on main chain Ethereum, it should be on main chain Ethereum and have all the rules for main chain Ethereum. And if I want to do something that I can't do immutably on Ethereum, I should go to layer 2 and just make it on layer 2 so that people know exactly what they're getting. They're like, oh, okay, I'm going to mint on layer 2. And if I want to go layer 1, the API is the same, so it's still ERC standard. I can move my data from layer 2, burn it, and mint it on layer 1. There's still a possibility of doing that, and we can now bridge. So you create a bridge. That's just, again, in Solidity or in Viper, you write some sort of contract that would allow you to take this asset on a layer 2 bridge. It's looking at Ethereum all the time anyways. And then it would say, okay, this asset does not exist on Ethereum. It's not on Ethereum. It's not on Ethereum. It's not on Ethereum. You can burn it whenever you want and bring it to Ethereum. And then once you burn it, lock whatever mechanism we decide the bridge is, you burn it. You burn the token. We verify the token is not on layer 2 anymore. You move it to Ethereum. Now the layer 2 chain can verify it's on Ethereum. You can no longer bring it back to layer 2, but at least we're being very clear about the system that we have. We're being very clear about things that are immutable. Because once things aren't immutable, I think you get into a lot of different issues. So I guess I'm going to end this soon. I've been so busy with marmoja.org. I've been so busy with trying to partner with Status and getting into VAC research, and I got my node set up, and then I got the hard drive, and I got a tablet, so I'm starting to teach next week. I'm starting Consensus Academy next week. I haven't even gotten the login information for anything for Consensus, but I'll be continuing to go live to talk about whenever I'm doing my Consensus homework, I think. Because I think that it would be a good way to have like a series on here, just going through what it's like to go through the blockchain dev program outside of Chloethedev Unfiltered. Chloethedev Unfiltered, this what I'm doing now, is really meant to be me ranting and raving and just talking and going through everything that happens in my week. So it's supposed to be every Sunday. I sit down at midnight, preferably, and kind of just go for like 10, 20 minutes about how the week's been. Like this week, I was very depressed and stressed this week at the cabin. The cabin was wonderful, but I was having a really tough time. And then actually Jay Harrell from QuantStamp, the community lead over there, I think, she included me in a tweet about like, just influential women in tech and blockchain and like fintech. And that I would open my phone at like 4 a.m. at the cabin, and I started like tearing up and almost crying. And it kind of got me out of my funk because I realized that this is what I'm here for. I was feeling kind of stressed trying to get it all done at one time. And I guess I just realized that what is the all I'm trying to achieve? There's no, like, I'm putting this all, right, that I'm trying to achieve in a certain day on myself. And I'm just sleeping all day and I'm depressed. I'm not eating properly. I wasn't being very efficient or productive, where I realized through that tweet storm that sometimes being effective with my time is tweeting and being visible and just showing people that if you look like me and act like me and you're like, a little wild like me, you could still be useful to the Ethereum community and to the blockchain community and to other people. That's kind of what my point is. You could have no friends and not talk to anybody and not have any formal education, and you could be, or I say very few friends you talk to on a daily basis. And you can be really passionate about loving other people, and you could like be, a tall black trans woman, and and that could still lead you to a place where you could, have an income by being, by working on open source projects on like Gitcoin, for example. It can lead you to a place where you're able to instruct and teach somewhere like YouTube. It can lead you to joining in with different hackathon groups eventually, where you're earning money for your local community, where you can like get solar panels and get all this stuff. So I guess the point is it's a way to turn education into sustainable living. Because these developers in Africa, they're more educated than me in Web 2 stuff. The problem is the accessibility to education for them is not as, the barriers are higher. So when I don't know something, I'm a hacker. So I don't know something, I go on Google, I learn something. The accessibility for me the barriers are very low. I have very fast internet. I can download any textbook I want for free, any paper I want to download, any size, I can just download it, movies, YouTube videos, HD quality, YouTube premium, totally fine. The issue comes when you realize that in other countries, if they don't have internet connection, how are they getting this data? So now I'm trying to figure out ways, where I can, where I can get data to someone who doesn't have internet. It's a very difficult problem to solve, but the easier problem is getting them internet. And so reliable internet, so, satellite internet or something that's not very fast, but they can like hook up a satellite, learn how to, receive data from a satellite and therefore have connectivity. Because then they could have internet for not only them, but, them and 4, 5, 6 friends. And now they've turned their education of how to use a satellite into sustainability for a community. And at that point, they can start getting information and teaching that community. So they can get, kindergarten materials. They can get, school materials and start teaching the school, having teachers who are reading information and teaching students from that same satellite. But how you be powered by something? Yeah, you have to have computers getting data in. You have to have solar panels as well. So with a setup of some kind, And this is where I think, having a simple satellite router with Starlink, for example, given the internet. So like, for example, a small Raspberry Pi for $100 that has connectivity to Starlink for internet connectivity, and would take so little energy, so connectivity to a small $100 solar panel would provide enough connectivity for an entire village to work through. The new Raspberry Pis have two micro HDMI ports. So you could have the Raspberry Pi with connectivity with two partitions that equally went to two different displays. And all on those displays, you could have one display that was more for running the nodes for the community, and one display that was more for like the UI and then getting information and downloading information and getting it onto other devices for the community. So the idea would be something like, okay, well, you have one person in the community who's like a developer who is able to back end, make sure that the satellites are receiving data properly, make sure that the solar panels are doing the right, basically making sure things are running in that system. And then with that system, there'll be another person who's a front-end dev who's creating a simple platform with which to aggregate information online that the community needs, and then have that information readily available on that screen in an easily distributed way. So then people from the community can take because most people I would say a lot of these villages, people do actually have smartphones. I think like 80% of the population has smartphones. So most people have smartphones connectivity, and they have a phone. So they do have a way to connect through mobile minutes or connect through a phone. So what you could do is have a system where the people with smartphones could come up to this computer, this UI, and receive some sort of data locally. So they can just have, so they have 1 gig of storage on their phones. They could take data from the computer and locally transfer data from the computer or from the Raspberry Pi onto their mobile device. And in that way, they can go to a different village or somewhere else and take that data and share it locally. So they can have, I'll use the Bible as an example. If someone downloaded the Bible onto their phone in a local language, then they can go to anywhere in the world and speak that Bible. And if they needed 15 languages, they have it in one spot instead of having to carry 15 Bibles with 15 languages. So I went to a Christian school. I'm a very strong Christian. I do think that part of all this has to do with bringing the Great Commission to the world. I do think that the only way to bring the Great Commission to the world is by having a system where it is connected to the world. And even if no one wants Christian stuff connected, they can use that network agnostically. And I think that's the beauty of all this, is that creating a network that's agnostic does help send messages that can be used for spreading hope and love and positivity, but it can also be used for negative messages. And in my opinion, that's the point. People can use it. People have free will. Oh, hey, Meeksies. So Mika's here already. Say hi. So people can use blockchains for positive things or negative things. But the idea is we have to create the blockchain first, and we have to get everyone using it first, so we can have it be secure for everyone. And then at that point, just like regular human life, if people decide to do negative things with the blockchain, I'm the one calling it negative anyway. That's my personal opinion that's negative. I try and take more of a neutral stance on things. And I guess my point of that is just saying that's where I'm at. That's who I am. I try and spend like the majority of my time. Every day I try and get up trying to bring open source tech to the world. And so, over the next 4 months, you're probably going to see me basically focusing 100% as much as possible on Web3 Bridge and Consensus Academy. And I know, baby, she's like so needy. You want this off? She's very needy, and she has a lot of anger management issues. She's very anxious. So that was the point I was on before. So while she is super cute, right? She also has a lot of issues with her attitude. She tries to bite Bianca a lot, my partner. She's very aggressive at times, but I would say that more than aggressive, she's just defensive. And when she gets scared or anxious, or she feels like I'm at risk of something, she will. She's always on alert, and she's always trying to figure out ways to, show me more love or protect those around her. And I guess it's because of where she grew up. She grew up on the beach of Antigua, where, any car going by or any person walking by could mean, death for her or those that she cares about. But yeah, we snuck her into our apartment in Antigua for a night, and now she's part of the family. Say hi, Mika. So yeah, we've been at the cabin. Yeah, you can go. We've been at the cabin for a week or so in Newcastle. And that's going to be the eventual headquarters of the Marma J Foundation next spring, hopefully. So, if you donate to the Marma J Gitcoin grant, part of the funds would go to that, moving our headquarters down there. Part of the funds, I'll talk about this more. So part of what I wanted to put in this is that, the next Gitcoin grant round starts in a couple weeks, September 14th at midnight, I think, my time. I'll be throwing a party in CryptoVoxels at the Marma J Gallery, probably. You can take a look at marmaj.org. You can actually go to marmaj.cryptovoxels.net, and that'll bring you to the same URL. But yeah, feel free to check it out. A lot's going on. I'm not going to talk about it all now, but we're trying to just find ways to raise money using this amazing interconnected community that we have, and then take those funds and use them for projects that are doing wonderful things, but the people running them are just too busy with the Web 2 world to worry about anything Web 3. They have no time to learn about Ethereum. They have no time to learn about cryptocurrency. They don't want to hold a wallet. They don't want to do any of that. My goal is to teach them that over time. So currently I have 3 accounts, sub-accounts in my status wallet. I guess I can show that right now. I want to be very as open as possible with a lot of what I do for the Marma J Foundation. So this I'll put here, and I'm actually going to do more of this. Eventually, I'm going to have status on desktop so I can start showing the wallets. But basically, this is my wallet. It'll say like Chloethedev at status. This is my status wallet. I have Chloethedev.eth. It's my ledger wallet. Don't worry about it. It's a lot of stuff. So this is my status wallet. It has like 1 ETH or 0.9 ETH in there or something like that. But with status, I'm able to have multiple wallets. So you can see that you have Chloethedev status that has 0.9 ETH in it. You have Newcastle, Ontario that has no money in it so far. We actually just gave our first grant to them for $330 Canadian. So the way that works is we're going to end up giving them grants when we stay there. So when we stay there, we try and cut the grass, help clean up the forest that's behind there. We try and basically beautify the land, as well as start looking at how a headquarters would look. But obviously, to do that, we need to go there. We need to stay there. We need to talking to people that build houses. We need to start talking to people who are gonna do all this stuff. It's like, so we need to bring money when we stay. We can't stay there for free and do all this stuff. So the way we kind of organize that is we're going to raise money, and then part of the funds that we deem as acceptable, we will put away in this Newcastle, Ontario wallet. And I guess the idea is we'll do whatever we want. It's not a decentralized foundation. It's a very centralized foundation. But I want to be upfront with what's happening. So if I raise an ETH to do this, I want to show that, hey, everyone, I'm taking 1 ETH that I have here, and I'm sending it to this person to do for the marmaj.org headquarters. And then the beauty of that is that I can then have on the marmaj.org website, I will have all the transactions and where they were sent for all money raised. So at least people that send money to the Marma Gitcoin grant or to the marmaj.eth account will know where the money is going, who it's being spent on, and why. And then the idea is when grants get sent out, the only stipulation is that the recipients of those grants, if I send it in cash, if I send it in crypto, whatever way I send that money, I just asked they take a little picture of what we did. So we helped buy a chainsaw, electric chainsaw, high powered, to help make a dog run for the dogs over time, and just for the land in general that they have in Newcastle. And so what I've asked is that take a picture of the receipt, take a picture of, so that it'll cost more than $300 what we gave, but take a picture of the receipt, take a picture of the using the chainsaw maybe, and we'll go back and we'll do some videos of like the before, and hopefully get some pictures of like the after, and like how just like a little talk about how the chainsaw helped. Not that I care really, but just to show people what we're able to do. And I think a lot of the use case behind what we're going to do with the foundation is just showing people what's possible. Show people that you could take $1, like one die, with 1,000 people come together under a common idea and a common goal, raise $10,000 potentially, and then use that and just give it away. Just give it to people who need it, who have no clue what blockchain is, who have no clue. They don't care, but they can't eat, right? Or you know, I have a heart for animals because like they have no choice. But like, you know, dogs in Antigua. So one of the projects, I'll open that up again because I know this isn't really the best way of doing it. But we have, for example, Sasha at Bliss. So that's Bliss Skate Shop, Windsor, Ontario, right here. It's the only Black-owned skate shop, I'm pretty sure, in Canada, or only Black locally owned skate shop in Canada, owned by a single Black woman who has 2 kids, single Black mother who has of 2 kids, 2 young boys, 2 and 8, or 2 and 4, I think, young kids. But she also works in the Canadian military, and running the skate shop is her like side job, and basically she uses it to help the community. She raises money for Black Lives Matter. She raises money to send skateboards to the Bahamas. She raises money to try and build skate parks in Jamaica. So it seems like she's just at a stage in her life where she knows what she wants to do. She knows what she's doing, and she's busy doing it. But she could use a little more support to help, you know. And so the Gitcoin grant all started when I was skateboarding down the street with a skateboard I got from Bliss Skate Shop, and I met someone by the river in Windsor who was literally just, I think they were relatively homeless, and they had people would walk by and donate art supplies, and then she would basically get people to create art right there and say, hey, creating art is beautiful, creating art is therapeutic. So yeah, Tamika barking at Bianca there. It's therapeutic, so come on, make some art. COVID's stressful. And I think the issue was a lot of issues there, but like, I mean, trust. How do you trust this person isn't gonna like poison you or whatever? How do you trust they don't have COVID? Because I mean, as COVID got, you know, people are wearing masks. It's not very easy to talk to strangers like that. And so I want to take all those ideas and make it so that anyone in the world, not just people in Windsor, can create art. So we, you know, that kind of made us starting to get a grant, trying to raise some money, trying to partner. I'm a board member of Nifty Pride now. So, you know, one of the things we want to do is, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to create I'm saying this because I want to do it. I'm going to create a smart contract by forking Mintbase that allows users to mint art without paying gas. That is literally all I want to do for right now is create a simple factory smart contract where users can, I'll start with the Marmot Day Foundation, or I'll make one for Bianca to start. But the idea is you would be able to mint tokens under a store. So keep minting all these tokens, but you wouldn't really be minting them. You'd just be signing off on the data that you approve that this art can be minted once for whoever decides to do it first. And then you just put a price. So you'd say, okay, you know what? And I want to do auctions for Bianca specifically. So the auction will start, they start at 1 ETH and they go down to 0.1 ETH over a week. I might do a month, but I think a week, just keep it quick, keep it simple. So the idea is she'd create art on a Monday, and then it would be for 1 ETH and it would be an auction. But if no one bought the art, it would just go down in price down to 0.1 ETH at the end of the week by next Monday, and she'd mint another one hopefully at that point in time, or I would say at 0.1 ETH forever. The point is, when someone goes to pay the 0.1 ETH to mint it, they're also going to pay the gas to mint it as well. So the gas to mint is like $12, which is like 0.3, 0.4 ETH at the moment, I think. So really, it's going to cost them, instead of 0.1 ETH after a week, it'll cost them 0.14 ETH because of the gas prices. But I think it's more efficient this way because instead of, you know, Bianca paying gas to mint and then someone else paying gas to get it sent to them when they buy it, this way you actually save gas because you're only really spending gas when it's actually minted once and purchased at the same time. Obviously, that's more efficient. The issues with that is how does it get displayed in CryptoVoxels still, or in other, if the token's not minted yet, it's not technically a token, and therefore it can be difficult, in my opinion, to sell it or show people. So in my opinion, you gotta create a smart contract, or create a Web2 or Web3 front end. Sorry, and that's what marmotday.org would have on it. A dApp that would allow people to see this art, see how long is left in the auction, see the price it's going to get to, and then I want to make it a very easy way of showing what the expected price would be with the gas. I think it's pretty easy just to estimate gas anyways in the next block. So you can be like, okay, you know, the gas for the past average, you know, 50 blocks was this. It's probably gonna be this in the next block, which would add this to the, which would make the complete minting price this amount. So yes, it's 0.1 ETH, but it's 0.1 ETH plus the gas, which would be different for every person. And then you get a little sliding scale of, do you want it to be fast? Do you want it to be slow? But still, the minimum will be 0.1 ETH plus gas. And that's where you could obviously have, you know, a little incentive where if you buy our art, we always take some of the extra gas. So for example, just gas plus 10%. So for example, we can always overestimate gas and always have it be done fast for buyers. So keep the accessibility for the artists at an extreme low. But then for the art, for the people who are buying the art, have a little more of inefficiency on their end, but that inefficiency goes towards raising money for the foundation and keeping up the upkeep of the art. So that would simply be meaning, like, for example, the 10% I was saying. So say we estimate an average gas price, and if it needs to be sped up, we will pay for the speeding up to keep things, you know, I don't know, but we will pay. Sorry, I'm thinking through this as I'm live. So I think the best, most efficient way of doing it is not always the easiest. But I think a lot of times, like for example, on Mintbase, you can use fiat now to buy. You can use like I can't remember what they use. It doesn't matter to me, but I think they use Stripe or something like that. The point is, they use an NFT, and if basically you hold that NFT, it's like a way of verifying that you are KYC'd, and therefore you can use Stripe for these things. So it's a pretty cool way potentially of partnering with Mintbase and allowing people to buy in like cash this art. So that's kind of what I mean when I say people might not even need necessarily to be logged in to MetaMask in order to buy this art. If someone just, again, scan the QR code or like put their Ethereum address in for they want to receive their art to, they would actually be able to pay in whatever, a credit card or whatever way they want. And then that would still give them the art and still give the Marvin J Foundation whatever 10% of the gas. So that's kind of why I'm saying the calculation would always be, you know, estimate the gas for the past how many ever blocks. I know Ethos.js has a very easy calculator, but Web3, I probably have to make it myself or just copy and paste something. But basically estimate gas for the past certain amount of blocks and then use that as the average gas that someone would use to mint this and purchase it. And then if they're paying in fiat, again, just add 10% of a tax or, you know, it's charity tax to the purchasing price. Now, whatever. Personally, I think that I wouldn't do that though. I do like the whole idea of 10% minimum for things, so I might. But I also do like choice and sliding scales. So maybe I'll build in a 10% and then have an option on the UI for doing more than 10% of the gas. Like up to 100% gas could go to the Marvin J Foundation. But yeah, you know, if you're buying a piece of art that costs 1 ETH, you might not mind doubling your gas up. So, you know, if Bianca creates a piece of art that it sells for like $500 Canadian, someone might not matter spending, you know, $10 extra for charity. But whereas if something was you know 0.1 ETH, they might be like, oh snap, gas is like, you know, $12. I don't want to spend $12 on charity, but they might spend 10%, which is $1 on of extra gas. So in my opinion, the 10% is realistic because for a cheaper art, it would be like $1 or $2, or $1. And then for more expensive art, it would be, you know, I guess, you know, still $1, but if they can do more, so they could choose to do up to, you know, 100%, which would be $10 or whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, it's an hour and 10 minutes now. I was supposed to do this every week. I probably will do this again tonight, but not for Chloethedev Unfiltered. What's the date today? Oh, I was gonna say, so Sasha Bliss, and the third company we're doing it for is St. Mutt's. St. Mutt's is a small, it's kind of like Dogs and Cats of Antigua. That's what we partnered with before for these dogs, but they're much smaller. It's basically a yoga teacher, med student, come together. I think she's a med student or she graduated from med school already. I don't know. It's a couple of people in Antigua who have really good hearts. They do dog rescue, cat rescue, they do turtle rescue. So the idea is to help. So one of the girls had about like 15 dogs living in her house with her in Antigua at one point in time because of COVID, and the puppies couldn't get out of the country, but she kept taking puppies in. I think it was before COVID actually, because it was too hot. The heat embargo last summer, so she couldn't get the dogs off the island because it was too hot in the summer. So her house was just full, and so I'd love to try and find ways to just help with your marketing or help with getting dogs off the island or help with vaccines or spay and neutering, and they helped us with so many of our dogs. But with Mika, when Mika got hit by the car, it was someone from St. Mutt's who came to give us CBD oil to help her be calm, not bark in the apartment. Someone from St. Mutt's who came to bring us all the ointments and heartworm medication she may need, and they didn't know us at all. They didn't know anything about us. They drove up. We had no car in Antigua, so that we walked to the beach every day to do this. So they drove out to us, brought us all the medication, and helped us in so many ways. So Dogs and Cats of Antigua is a wonderful organization. They have so much support already. St. Mutt's, they don't really have that kind of support. Or was it the Dogs and Cats that brought us the medication? Babe? Bianca? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Was it Dogs and Cats that gave us the medication?
For Mika, no, it was St. Mutt's.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. So it was St. Mutt's who gave us the medication for Mika. My brain forgets things a lot. It's kind of funny. Bianca has horrible hearing, so it's quite frustrating for me. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment, but with a fan. Well, we have a fan here, and we have a fan there, and the AC on in the bedroom. So even though we're 10 feet from each other, trying to talk from here to there is so inefficient. We need an intercom system or something like that. We actually do. We have the Google Homes, and they'll talk to each other. So we'll probably get a Google Home Mini in our bedroom. Now we have that. Oh, we actually were supposed to do that this weekend. We went to my mom's house so that I can talk to my Google Home. Because I have a Pixel stand and a Pixel, so I can talk to the Google Home. Even my computer is a Google Pixel Book Pro. And actually, I just got the Pixelbook Slate too. Shoot. So I have a Google Home Max, Google Home Mini, Google Pixel Stand, Google Pixelbook Laptop, Pixelbook Slate Tablet, and a Pixel Phone. And the earbuds. Oh, and I guess I have the pen too, but that's part of the pad, I suppose. But I love Google stuff. It works together well, just like Apple stuff. When you're within an ecosystem, things work. My problem is that not everyone is in an ecosystem. Not everyone can afford to be in a Google ecosystem. So how do you bring that similar level of efficiency to people who don't have it? And in my opinion, that is using what we have currently to make open source tech this efficient. So what I want to see, and I'm going to end it on this, is what I'm passionate about and what I want to see is open source tech be as efficient as Google and Apple and Tesla and all this centralized tech that we have. And whatever I can do to make that happen, that's what I'm going to do. So if you want to follow along with my just rambling about that, this is the channel to do that. I'm probably going to be going live every single day in September until Gitcoin Grant, though, in order to kind of just talk about what I'm doing, talk about Gitcoin Grants, talk about the nodes, how they're doing. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. If I don't talk to you guys again for 2 weeks because I'm busy, it's because of Gitcoin Grants and because I'm teaching, because I'm learning, and I will see you either way. September 14th, Gitcoin Grant round 7. Love you all. Bye for now from Chloethedev.